Attention, please be advised. The following episode contains spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Because they're just people in armor.
Well, they're kind of assholes.
Scouts. Yeah, but I mean, people are assholes.
Welcome to Mandalori-ON, the Nerd-On miniseries where we discuss the latest episode of the Disney Plus hit series, The Mandalorian. Today, we bust out the Darksaber like the Moff we are.
Ooh!
In Chapter 8, Redemption. No.
And you wanted to relinquish the opening of the show to me.
I don't know. You fucking came up with it.
That's pretty epic.
It's like John Favreau, like, hey, maybe I shouldn't direct the last episode of the season.
I'm paying you a compliment.
I appreciate it. So yeah, guys, this has been a journey for us. We are now at the end of the road.
Journey, as we say here.
And we finally get a jetpack, and all the things come to light.
Rising Phoenix.
Yeah.
Are you trained in the Rising Phoenix?
Yes, I am. So let's get this show on the road. Let's introduce the host of the evening. My name is Tom.
Ali.
Corey.
And this episode is brought to you in part by the proud people of the Nerd-On Nation, powered by Patreon. If you're not familiar with Patreon, it is like a culture where you can take part in no matter where you were born, even if you're a part of it or not to begin with.
Well fucking done.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Creed.
it's something where you can support your favorite creators like us here at Nerd-On, or other people of the Nerd-On family like the Capus Crusaders. And from $1, $5, and $8, you can select certain tiers to get certain perks, such as never before heard episodes, sneak peeks before we record the stuff, and even being part of the episodes with our Nerd-On Nudge, as well as our Nerd-On Update. If you would like to hear more, check out nerdon.tv, but the short link to check that out is nerdon.io/Patreon. And
it's not a clan of two, it's a clan of many.
Clan of many, yes. If you want to read more about Star Wars and all this great stuff, Comixology is the internet's #1 spot for comic books. You could check out nerdon.io/Comixology, and every purchase made through that link specifically goes to help us out being the best podcast we could possibly ever be.
Yes. Well done.
And yeah, so let's get the show on the road.
Dive right in.
We got a lot. We got a lot in this 48-minute episode.
Lot to unpack.
So initial reactions, babies.
Yeah.
Ollie, you can start us off.
I mean, this was it's almost as if the last 7 episodes were sort of like a web series that led up to like the release of a movie. That's kind of like
That's a good way to go about
how it came. It was grander and more epic and more satisfying than I could ever hope for that episode to have been. And it almost like had no right to be as thorough and well like structured as it ended up being, with all the pieces that it had like coming before it.
Part of me wishes like they kind of should have left it over from the last episode a little bit more.
Yeah, I was like, spread it out more.
Yeah,
like,
a little bit. Yeah,
spread
show
out
the
the
love.
epicness. But yeah, because we get through a lot happens in the first half of the movie, and
Episode?
Of the it's already
There it is.
already there. It is.
Well, I will say
Tyga's
this.
done it again.
At the same time, Watchmen is now done, and a lot of people are calling that show a movie. So
Yeah.
I mean, like this, TV's hit the golden era,
Right.
in terms of like what it is. So a lot of it can be considered a movie.
But yeah, I got through like half of it, and like I've had to pause it to like go get something from like the kitchen or something, and I was like, that's only 27 minutes in, and we're already on the spoilers or whatever, the almost death scene of him, and I'm like, oh my god, what else is this episode going to have in it? Because I was like, if it ended there, like that would have been like, obviously that wouldn't have been the best for the story, but enough awesome had happened to where I was like, that would be like a normal episode before. So I think Taika killed it. It was like beautifully shot. The flashback sequence that was like fully fleshed out this time was
Getting to see that whole
was
piece of
really
the
well
puzzle.
put together, and like those droids were just as terrifying, and it's interesting to see them in a new light.
And the
like
music
that.
cue
The music
was the same when the Mandos come in episode 3.
Yeah, it was just really well done, and I'm really excited for the future of the series and see where they take it.
I saw Kevin Smith post something on Twitter where he got a coin from Mr. Jon Favreau at the screening of Rise of Skywalker, and it was the coin. It was a sigil of the Mudhorn.
Yeah.
And I literally commented like, so this is his sigil then.
Yeah.
And I was like, so
So
it's
it kind
not.
of spoiled it
I was
through
like,
that.
so it's not Yoda. So I was like, okay, whatever.
That's funny.
So seeing it, I was like, oh, okay, whatever, that's cool. But
Yeah.
then I like the best part about that was just the whole ideology of what the clan was.
Mhm.
But yeah, this episode it's the jam pack, wrap up the season episode.
Yeah.
Again, I'm the most critical of the show, I think, amongst all of my peers. I spent a little bit of the holiday talking about it with some friends and got their ideas of it, and I not gonna double down on it, but it's like, yeah, there's some parts in here I still would have cut out instead, and it wouldn't be
Sure.
like it's saving runtime or anything like that, but it's
Yeah.
just like some of this is unnecessary at this point. But like there are some really good sequences of good action, fast-paced action, where it's like if you melange them together in a really fantastic way, it makes for a pretty satisfactory, entertaining sequence. There are some moments of good tension. There are some moments of like I think bad subversions
Mhm.
that I think that are in this. But then I like how it left off in good places, but also it left off in places where it's still like I want it. Like you milked this cow, but not this cow,
Mhm.
and so there are different things like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm glad to see that there is kind of again this maybe a shift in the world where season 2 will take off.
You think so?
I hope so.
Mhm.
There's a little bit
Describe
of
what
that.
you mean.
There's a little bit of that family. Oh well, everything's all hunky dory now
Right.
at the end of the season. But then there's a little bit of that shift of like, well, we can't have the same fun with the same friends and toys.
Mhm.
Like we'll have to go on a different journey,
I
a
see
little
what
bit
you're
more
saying.
alone.
Right. Because he's sort of like that would have been season 2 if he had accepted that invitation from Carl
Grief.
Weathers' character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grief,
What is it? Grief?
Carl Grief or something like that.
Yeah. Just change his last name. I think it. Well, either way.
Hey, look, people are calling him Lando. Okay, so give me
Oh,
some
jeez.
fucking cred.
No, it's yeah. I just yeah.
Corey,
He's great.
Yes, sir.
what did you think of this season finale?
I loved it. Being someone again who is a fan of extended universe and stuff like the Darksaber popping up at the end and getting to see so someone who's been a fan of Star Wars for this long, getting to see 2 stormtroopers in that element, like the scout
Yeah.
troopers, the subtle nod that they can't shoot for shit.
I kind
but
of-
also like
I almost wanted just a show about stormtroopers.
yeah, so shout out to Jason Sudeikis and Adam Pally. Like they killed that scene.
Yeah.
I haven't like the whole time I was sitting there, I was like, good for I've never seen something like this in Star Wars before.
That's
yeah.
not a parody.
No, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was such a big, like my wife and I were
Refreshing.
sitting there going like, this is awesome. I
Yeah.
love this. And of course, like the tension of hitting the baby every time. And
We
then,
get hints of it like in episode 7.
yeah,
Sorry. We get hints of it in The Force Awakens
yes.
with that sort of like
Oh,
let's bring
yeah.
it let's bring that tone into the modern
Yeah, a
time or
little
whatever.
silly.
But I think this was sort of like a whole different level.
Oh man, that was such a fantastic cold open.
Yeah.
You talking about Jar Jar Binks wasn't a little bit of the silly?
No, I'm talking about like the stormtroopers in Force Awakens were kind of like
Oh.
like they saw Kylo Ren having a tantrum and they turned around and went the other way. Like there was a little bit of personality
I mean,
in them.
I would say sadly, it's kind of almost been baked in just because how New Hope was filmed, because that one stormtrooper that hits his fucking head on
Yeah.
a goddamn doorway,
That's where they became
And
like
the,
that's the first
move
meme
along.
or whatever.
and also they
but-
can't shoot.
Yeah. So I was sold from the minute the cold open hit onward. I really like Moff Gideon. I think he's a great addition. I wish he
Yes.
came in sooner. I think I said that last
Yeah.
week as well. But I'm not upset that he's here.
Mhm.
I'll take whatever I can get. I liked the subtle nods to past episodes in this, like the I forget the name of the gun right now off the top of my head, but it shows
the
up.
E-Web.
It shows up in Empire Strikes Back.
Mhm.
It's one of the giant guns they have, or its predecessor shows up in
Right.
Empire. So getting to see that kind of stuff, and having IG-11 have some action in there, like something I was listening to our past episodes and me being bummed out in the first episode that we wouldn't see him again. Getting to see him kick some more ass
Yeah.
was like
Come back.
such a
redeem
reward
himself.
for me, being like, oh, thank God.
Well,
Okay,
I mean, that's what the episode's all really about.
redemption.
It's his redemption.
Right. Yeah. No. I'm just saying, like that was a big, nice surprise for me. Yeah, and then like they had a lot of payoffs, like getting to see
Mm-hmm.
what.
They did Terminator 1 and 2 in one season.
Yeah.
That's true.
The payoffs of getting to see his helmet off, and the nod
Yeah.
to busting open the grate and subverting that a little bit. Like we've seen that in so many movies. We're like, oh, let's
Mhm.
go down to the trash compactor, but then it won't open.
won't
and
open.
so I think for a Star Wars fan, this is a pretty great episode.
Yeah.
You know,
It was such a like a great like Moff Gideon stuff was such a great like interesting way to get all that exposition.
Yeah.
In like a menacing sort of like suspenseful way that like I was like totally okay with.
Yeah,
I think it worked really well.
It gave me a little bit of for those who are familiar, I finished it as well. Rebels. It gave me a little Imperial Thrawn.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the like seasoned villains in
he's
the
one.
show.
He's someone who's actually from the extended universe from like '98.
Yeah,
and never showed up.
Well, now he's canon.
Yeah,
so,
nice.
Like, and that's kind of thing where it's like it's not like a wieldy, strong Force user. It's someone who's like conniving, cunning, and ruthless.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like what Thrawn does in the show, like he literally just spars with robots.
Yeah,
it's kind of dope. But
so and like
nice
the
to
cool
see
thing,
that, yeah.
the cool thing about like, and I'll this will be the last thing I'll say. This we'll get into it. But the cool thing about seeing the Darksaber here is that means the raid of the Mandalorians didn't happen very long ago because they had it in.
well, I mean, we might go some spoilers a little bit.
A little
Not
bit.
of a
Well, I'm gonna
thousand
say
tears.
they had some of it in Clone Wars, but also that means like there's a small window that this Mandalorian raid could have happened. So,
the raid that they are talking about in show.
Yeah, in the show. Yeah, because there's been plenty of
because for him to
Mandalorian
assume that he's from Mandalore, you would assume that's like it happened within that generation.
Right.
So I mean, there's a we'll talk about it in the show.
Yeah. So anyway, I loved this. Being someone who's a fan of Star Wars, getting to see a lot of my favorite things either rewarded or subverted was a great viewing experience.
Yeah.
So we'll go
Well put.
into the brief synopsis as well as the production. Wanted double team?
So essentially Quill gets killed in the last episode and these two scout troopers pick him up. We get this wonderful pick up the
Baby
child.
child.
So I found out recently that Bob Iger got chastised for calling it Baby Yoda.
He didn't.
He didn't?
I mean, did he call it Baby Yoda?
There was I think there's if you go online, the Disney CEO.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like the internet called it Baby Yoda before he did.
They did, but the whole point is that he's not. Like the internet's one
He should
thing,
have
but
like
someone
been
who's part of
correcting
the
it
company,
in his.
it's the child.
Yeah, he should. Yeah.
So that picks up the child, and we have a wonderful moment between these two before IG-11, the Protector, shows up and kicks some serious ass. He goes back into town to save our other heroes who are pinned down from Moff Gideon and his army. A shootout because it is a Western, based off the Westerns and the samurais. There's a shootout in town. There's a fight in town. Eventually, our heroes escape to the sewers. They take a lava river in which
To the covert.
IG-11 realizes that they see the Mandalorian enclave
Armor.
has been destroyed.
Yeah.
The armor is left over. She gives him his sigil and says, he's your foundling now. You either have to train him or return him to his species.
She stays behind to gather all the materials.
Now there's a charge for our hero to know exactly what he needs to do with the baby. They leave. Badass fight ensues with her. We see why she's the leader. They get to this lava river, and IG-11, runs some statistics because he's a droid and says the only way we can make it out of here. The only way I can truly protect this baby is to self-destruct.
Yeah.
So if you say you can care for this baby, I can protect it.
At some point, we do see Din Djarin's face.
Yes.
And we are told that
He
he
gets
is not
hurt very bad.
a born from Mandalorian.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
And we get the flashback that
Foundling.
at the end that we've been seeing throughout the series that he was picked up and saved by other Mandalorians
And trained.
and trained, and he joined, and then like his.
That's why he took the oath
and
to
that's
never
why-
take the helmet off.
And that's that's
So he
part
says,
of
I can't
that.
take my helmet off in front of living things. And IG-11 points out, I'm not a living thing.
Yeah.
I'm technically
Convenient.
just, as Quill said, it is just a fabrication of whoever
or a
made it.
mirror.
Mirror of whoever made it. So this, he self-destructs
Terminator. Dun 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 dun. dun.
and basically saves them from a troop of stormtroopers. But then Moff Gideon shows up. And before leaving the armor, she gave Mando a jetpack, which he was trained in. So he uses it, although very clumsily, attaches himself to the TIE fighter.
Very Batman-esque.
Tries to put a sticky grenade on, doesn't work. Moff Gideon's got some moves. He drops it, gets his last one, sticks it on there, and lets go and destroys the ship, blows it up. And then we got
crashes
Carl
off in the
Weathers,
distance.
gives him the baby back, says,
Mando!
you should stay here with us. And he's like, I can't, I got to do this thing.
He's like, he's going to rebuild the guild.
Cara Dune says she's going to be the enforcer and that he's going to clear her name once she joins the guild officially. Then she won't be on a wanted list anymore. So that works out really well. And he takes off in the ship. And Baby Yoda is very symbolically wearing the foundling necklace or the armor, Mandalorian necklace, meaning kind of symbolizing that he is now the foundling.
What's that monster thing?
The mythosaur.
Mythosaur.
Mythosaur skull, which is what Mandalore the First killed. But we pan over to the
TIE fighter.
TIE fighter, which Jawas are picking apart, and suddenly Darksaber comes right out of the side and cuts himself out, holding the
Moff
first
Gideon.
time we have ever seen the Darksaber in a live action place, and then it ends.
Mhm.
Bum, ba-dum, 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 ba-ba-bum,
Or
bum.
as Mandalorian goes,
Yeah.
so the
Good job,
production.
that was 10 minutes.
That's good.
I'm glad that you gave yourself a good job. So the production stays, everything's the same. Director is Taika Waititi, known for Hunt for the Wilder People, Jojo Rabbit, and What We Do in the Shadows. The cast of anything of this episode changes. Emily Swallow, who plays the armorer.
Mhm.
We know her from Supernatural, Castlevania, Mentalist. Taika Waititi, who reprises IG-11. And What We Do in the Shadows, Jojo Rabbit and Ragnarok. And Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad, The Boys, and Usual Suspects.
Mhm.
But yeah, we have, other than that, it's just a regular trio. Release date December 27th, 2019. And this episode was 48 minutes. And the
Nice.
Rotten Tomatoes score for that episode specifically was 100, but the
Oh.
overall show has still been 94 critics, 93 audience.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah,
so
great.
that gets
So,
into it.
yeah.
Favorite
Favorite
parts?
parts.
Oh, boy.
I would say my favorite part would probably be the I actually like the firefight pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the middle, the one that
Yeah.
they don't quite escape from.
Well, like,
When IG-11
Jaren's
shows
getting shot
Yeah.
up like that, and like he came in like
IG-11 comes through.
he comes in and starts the initial
Mhm.
destruction of like the E-web or the whatever it's called,
Mhm.
and like everyone's like, okay, cool, we're all fighting. And then they go out and they start storming the spot.
Aimbotting all over again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then I really like where the fight turned to where they had to retreat, and then I believe the armor is the ARC Trooper armor, the guy with the flamethrower.
Yeah.
Yeah,
ARC Trooper.
It's
Yeah.
literally Cara Dune's what armor she would have worn.
Well, she wasn't part of
Yeah,
the
the-
rebels.
yeah,
She was the
as a
sorry, she was the rebels, not
yeah,
the Sith.
as a clone trooper, like that's what they wore.
Yeah.
And when you guys watch Clone Wars, those who are listening out
So
there,
she didn't wear
you
that
see
because
that.
she was part of the
Yeah,
The same
rebellion.
like sort of rank or whatever.
But
Yeah.
they're
Kinda-
equivalent.
yeah.
Yeah,
is that.
equivalent kind of.
And so I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then just seeing like more different colored Imperial armor.
I love that. Yeah.
I like that over than it's a black one. It's a white
Death
one.
Troopers.
Here's, I'm like, but this is like, oh, it's got markings.
It's
to
got
it.
Anyone
that.
who's ever played Battlefront
Battlefront.
will
Like the
recognize.
yellow.
Yeah,
The
the
different
yellow ones
armor
have, yeah,
colors.
higher rank. Yeah, but
Mhm.
just seeing that and that kind of like dread happening. So faux pas dread for me because I'm like, I have 30 minutes. So yeah, I really like that sequence.
For me, it was the armorer fight.
Yeah.
Getting to see why
That's
she's
fine.
in charge. Because that was, and also getting to see Stormtrooper armor shatter.
When she
Like, made me
shattered the
flinch. I was like,
respirator part
"Oh
of the
my God."
Yeah, that was like a pretty amazing moment.
That was a brutal fight. Because I'll be honest, I was worried about the armor. I'm like, okay, they can kill her off easily and it won't affect the story whatsoever. I'm sure she's gonna put up some badass fight and get shot, but to see her just fucking destroy these
Well,
6 stormtroopers,
Also, like most of the Mandalorians didn't
make it.
die; they
What?
left.
Oh yeah, a lot. Well,
Some of them
She
escaped.
hopes,
Some of
she
them
said.
didn't.
some of
yeah.
them she
But-
hopes.
But those helmets there weren't because they died. It was because they left it and they had to escape because the covert was like revealed during episode 3.
do we know that though? Because she
That's
said
what she
that
said.
she said only she hopes some made it.
She
a lot
said
of them died.
she said they all escaped. They said they escaped, and I hope all of them made it off planet.
Didn't say all escape.
Well, it said like they were trying to escape because
were
that's
trying
what
to
the thing.
Yeah.
Some of the helmets you see, I mean, like here's the thing: they would not have taken the helmets off.
Right.
I mean, if they were trying to escape, kind of.
No, because even he's
No,
dying and he won't.
He
take
asks, he's like, did they escape? And she says, I hope so. And then she's like, I think some of them got off world.
But
it off.
So that's the most
I
she
think it's
says.
implied that all of those ones died. Especially
Yeah.
you see John Favreau's helmet too.
I think him like
Heavy.
being that emotionally weighted, I think that's what they were.
probably.
yeah, I think
going
she said,
for.
"I hope."
Well, I would
because-
say the funny thing is that within the flashback,
He gets rage
that
fought after.
armor is totally different than all the other armor that we saw.
Mhm.
And so it's like
Well, it was
that
like
clan
the
that he got
people
picked-
occupying the like,
the covert.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like-
got to be like a rescue team of some sort.
Or it
Right.
could have been just Mandalorians from different places.
Mm-hmm.
And like that to me kind of confirms more and more how much this clan of Mandalorians are so different than
Yeah.
what we've seen.
Well, it's probably pre-raid, right? So they were probably an established.
Well, I mean, this could be like a refuge, right?
Mhm.
And so like
no, I just mean in the flashback.
oh yeah,
Yeah, because they could have been super established, and now what we have now is basically a melting pot of all these different Mandalorians.
yeah.
Mhm.
Because like if you watch
After the Mando raid.
Clone Wars and you watch Rebels and you see like there are different houses and clans, and families, and there are really defined ones based on the sigils that they have. And so the fact that the armor makes a sigil for him is like, oh, he's going to be his own clan. And so that's like very kind of interesting, where it's like, what clan was she part of?
Mhm.
What clans were everyone else part of? Were they part of the clans that are already established in the canon, or were these different ones? And what was the clan that picked him up? Is that a different clan, or is that, just like the starting out troops? So it's
Yeah.
like, it's weird. But yeah, anyways.
They'll get into it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm
that
not.
fight for me was pretty.
Um,
I cheered out loud.
a huge moment for me was the jetpack TIE fighter fight sequence, like just him timing it and catching it, and then basically like being towed by a freaking TIE fighter,
Yeah,
and like it was just an awesome
it was very
thing to
Batman.
watch.
It was
very
yeah,
Batman.
and then
That's
him
why you
like
liked it.
and then him like landing perfectly and everything. Like
It
Uh,
felt good to see him with the jetpack for sure.
yeah, it was very
I
satisfying.
would say a really good shot is, or his part is, when IG-11 sacrifices himself.
Yeah.
Again, Terminator 1, kill the baby. Terminator 2, save the baby. And so, but also, how's he die? In fucking lava.
Lava.
and lava.
Like in do with the thumb up.
I cannot be captured.
And I'll try to not turn this into a qualm, but I wanted more of that exploration, because they turn it real hard of like, IG-11's here to protect the baby. It's willing to do everything to protect the baby, and like has to convince Mando to take off his helmet to heal him.
Yeah.
And even then knows within his programming that it's like, I'm not alive, I'm not a human, I'm not a living being. But also I know my primary programming versus my like
Secondary.
secondary programming are conflicting, and you will do what is possible because I have to do what's possible to save this baby. And they kind of really drive home this kind of sincere moment, but I feel like it was kind of like, you almost don't, and it makes me understand
Oh,
why
yeah,
they.
I can tell you're sad.
Well, no,
I'm a nursing droid.
to me, it makes sense why they tried so hard to make that little CGI growth moment of him being like reprogrammed a thing to try to make you
I see
attached to
what
him.
you're saying.
But you still don't get it because it's like, this is all in the past, and I still haven't seen you.
It's the small problem with casting someone like Taika in that role, is they had to kill him off now because he doesn't have the time to keep coming back.
Yeah, I mean, he's already going to be not doing Akira, so
Yeah.
like he's already tied up with too many things.
So I know why they did it for a practical reason, but for a story standpoint, it does suck.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say that kind of stuff is like what happened with Spider-Verse, where like they took 5 years to do all the voiceover
Yeah.
because scheduling. But like, yeah, it's kind of like, it kind of shows a little bit of like what happens when you have characters, and I guess it makes sense why the show's the way it is.
Yeah.
Like, hey, here for 2 days, then you peace out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Another favorite part of mine, I said it during the explanation, but the stormtroopers scene is pretty
Yeah.
fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, it's actually, I like, yeah, there was,
Which one?
Because they're just people in armor. Like they're the stormtrooper cold opening.
well,
Oh,
they're kind of assholes.
Scouts.
Yeah, but I mean, people are assholes.
Yeah.
Most
Kinda-
people are assholes. But they're people. They're just people in armor.
Well-
they're not these like silent guardians or these like like move along all the time. Like they have shitty conversations. They make fun of each other. Like, no, you just want to look at it again. Like, no, I just want to make sure, how pissed is he going to be if it's not breathing?
Yeah.
And then it bites him, and he's like, oh, it's a little shit. Like, come on.
It was
really
real. It kind of
yeah, it
grounded
was really
in that way.
refreshing to see them not in the. Anytime you see stormtroopers, it's like in a situation. Like, oh shit, the stormtroopers
Well,
here.
it's interesting. Like Star Wars has always had this weird, like I feel like identity crisis thing where George Lucas always meant for it to be like the old serials from back in the day, and that has very stylistic choices for dialogue and the very overly romanticized scenarios, and we get a lot of that in A New
Sand, I hate
Hope,
sand.
and in that original trilogy. But it's it doesn't really fit that anymore, especially like lately. And so it's nice for them to sort of accept that and
pieces of it, yeah.
and
Try
to be like,
make
we
an
can be a
amalgamation.
bit more grounded. We can be
Yeah.
a bit more like realistic. It doesn't have to be overly romanticized.
I would say it kind of tries to play both worlds.
Yeah, it's a
wouldn't-
delicate balance.
I
But
wouldn't say it's trying to fully evolve from it, because once you kind of take away that this is kind of like a genre meant for kids,
Yeah.
like it kind of then falls apart.
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, some of the deliveries are still like Carl Weathers' deliveries are still very Star Wars esque, and
It's daytime soap.
Which
yeah,
to me
exactly.
that's not a big problem, but also kind of like it's so funny because like this show does so much to not explain anything,
Mhm.
where everything after the first three movies do so much to try to explain everything.
Yeah.
Well, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that to a degree, because it kind of it feels like it just wants to, like if it wasn't set in the Star Wars universe, it would just be like a drama show or whatever.
It'd be a Western.
It would be a Western, and you wouldn't have to explain like the currency or how the guild works or whatever, unless it's needed, obviously, for the plot. But so it's nice for Star Wars to like go that route too, of being like, well, we don't have to. We're not going to give you title cards. Like if you don't recognize the New York skyline, then sorry. If you don't recognize, Jakku, then sorry. So I do.
Were there title cards in this? Whenever they went to a planet? I don't
Was
think
there?
so.
No, that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
No.
That's his point. He's like, there's no title cards. If you don't recognize it,
it doesn't hold your hand through Star Wars. Is kind of the overall point I'm making.
Okay.
I also
It doubles down and leans on its
It's
IP.
like this is just our setting. So, but we're going to tell our story in it. We're not going to explain our setting. You should know it, or it doesn't matter.
but like that, the rest of that scene leading up to IG-11 showing up and just fucking destroying the two of them. Him, like I literally with my wife said out loud, "Oh my god!" when he was smashing him into the speeder over and over again. I was like, "My god, that's awesome, but violent, but awesome."
Yes.
I would say, it's violent for a Star Wars standard.
Yeah,
For
it
sure.
was surprising. But then it shows you exactly what Quill meant when he was like, "It'll protect." Like nothing can stop it from protecting.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes me ask, where the fuck were you last episode? It was told to stay at the ship, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, Quill's dead. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Although I have
He
to
just
say,
SpongeBob. I'm head out.
the moment that they all like you see like the stormtroopers start to like shift their attention towards him coming down the alley or whatever.
Or
like,
on the flats.
yeah,
And he
that
starts shooting them
was
up,
Yeah.
that was a pretty great sequence too.
And the
He's just kind
Jawa
of like
just left,
shooting a
like,
few.
what the fuck?
Yeah, just shooting like random ones as he's
Well,
going.
it was like the Dark Knight when he's on the speeder shooting up the cars. And
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
Exploding off. And I was
The
like,
little
okay.
kids.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay.
Yeah. There was a ton I liked. One of the biggest things for me, this is my last one, was the implication that the Baby Yoda is now a foundling, aka a Mandalorian.
Yes.
And they made the point to drive that home in the first part of the episode of him explaining like it's not a race, it's an ideal that they let me
Creed.
be a part of, and that's what makes you Mandalorian. It doesn't matter what
Yeah.
you are.
Is he in the first one?
In the first part of this episode,
Oh,
before
in
he
the first
gets
part of the episode. I
before
thought
he
the
gets
first
hurt.
episode.
No, sorry, the first part before he gets hurt. When he first
He goes,
announces that his name is Din Djarin.
yeah, he's like it's a creed, and then
Yeah.
it cuts to the flashback.
So driving that point home, and then him being in the ship and having his Mandalorian pennant, and then him going, you know what? Why don't you wear that for a while? Another part of the creed too is that if someone is your direct family, you can take your helmet off in front of them.
Mm.
So I'm also hoping that opens the door for a little more Adam Pascal in season 2 as well. Now on board the ship with the Baby Yoda, all that kind of stuff.
Adam Pascal? Pedro
sorry.
Pascal? Did you combine Adam Driver and Pedro Pascal?
Adam Pascal is from Rent.
Okay.
He played Roger on Broadway.
But you know Pedro Driver, right? He
Excuse me,
musicals?
sorry, Pedro Pascal. I'm hoping it opens up more for that because it was really it was nice to see his face.
I'll talk about qualms. So
I have one other.
yes, please.
Giancarlo Esposito's just delivery
Fucking Gus Fring, baby, in space.
of like who they are.
Yeah.
And like
I can tell by your panicked
yeah.
reaction that you're.
Shock Trooper Cara Cynthia Dune
Yeah.
should be able to tell you. Disgraced magistrate, what's his face, will be able to tell
But
you.
also, it's like how her comrades were disintegrated
By
as
a
they
similar,
dropped in the hot.
just that
by its
whole
predecessor.
delivery was masterfully done.
It's cool.
Oh, and also Carl was just taking shots in the bar while all this is happening. It was wonderful.
but also with 2 guns in his hands.
yeah.
Put
He just
one gun
fixed one
down.
of that glowing blue drink,
Yeah.
takes another. He did like 3 or 4 shots while he was sitting there. He's like, I'm going to die. Might as well.
Might as well.
I'm in a cantina.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tom,
any more of the favorite parts or favorite character?
favorite character?
Favorite characters?
I don't have any more favorite parts. Do you?
This thing, they're married with
Dark
qualms
Blade. We
in
talked
it,
about
so-
Dark Blade.
Oh, I did like the subversion of the R2 unit being tall as fuck.
That was
Yeah,
funny.
that was cool.
Yeah.
That caught me off guard. I was like, oh, still going.
Yeah, I think that's it. Those are the big points for me. Yeah.
Magic hands. Sorry. Come on, baby.
Oh,
Do the magic hands. And then just waves at him.
I loved the armor. The armor, kind of like going a little bit into Jedi lore, like going a little bit into the lore.
Yes, that felt
they're kind,
great. I'm so
like the
sorry. I skipped right over that.
No,
Yes.
I loved her description of it's so
enemies.
fascinating how
No.
far removed
They're
that.
not enemies.
Right. It's fascinating how far removed they are from like what we're so familiar with.
Yeah.
That they call them a race of sorcerers.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Like-
what they thought they were. That's why they
Well, I
created the
know.
Mandalorian armor and
But
all the
it's
weapons.
interesting that they're so far removed that it's such a mythological concept that they don't think of necessarily even like lightsabers or like a look or anything like that.
I
They
wonder
just-
if
they
they'll
just know
bring this into it.
mythical sorcerer race.
During the Mandalorian Wars, there was a troop of Mandalorians who were trained in the Force and had lightsabers.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, they were fucking awesome.
Oh,
So,
man.
well, I mean,
It's all non-canon now, but
yeah.
Well,
it could
unless
come
yet.
back.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, but like, remember I showed you guys that G4 thing of like the Emperor tries to find a job after the end of like
Yes.
Return of the Jedi.
yeah.
Like, I really like at the beginning of the little comedy thing. It talks about like, you know, it's like a press conference of like trying to be a publicity stunt of like, oh, we don't know what's going on with that, but we saw Luke strangle his dad. You know, like
Yeah.
they're trying to cover it. That's how I kind of feel how this world is, where like the inner workings of what we saw in the Skywalker saga
Yeah.
is so under wraps. It's kind of like becoming a fly on the wall of like the White
Mhm.
House now.
Yeah.
Like what we get is pretty much the aftermath. And so it makes sense. Like
'Cause we
the
get a
rest
little
of the
hint of
universe
that.
doesn't know who is a savior. Is it just a fleet of rebels?
Yeah.
Is it the resistance? Do they have guns or do they have lightsabers? What is a lightsaber? I heard
Right.
about it. Da, da, da. It's kind of like us and dinosaurs.
They introduced the
Yeah.
idea in Force Awakens. They introduced the idea of
true,
like
all of it. That it got
right,
forgotten.
Yeah.
And this takes place after 5 years later. So
Yeah.
anyways, but also the child had been born, if you think about it, had been born like during fucking Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Mhm.
50 years old. Hell,
Yeah.
also like, anyways,
Or
but
not necessarily Phantom Menace.
maybe Clone Wars.
Maybe even
It's
later.
50 years.
Huh.
50 years old.
Who? The Mandalorian?
No, the child.
Oh, the child.
I wonder
yeah.
if that interesting.
It
if that-
definitely
Sorry, I
is-
thought you were talking about the Mandalorian. Is not 50.
No, the child is definitely like older than Luke and
Oh, yeah,
older
for
than.
sure.
I imagine we'll continue to explore
Probably
his-
Clone Wars. Yeah.
explore
Yeah.
it. So I
So-
wonder if that's interesting. That time's interestingly. with
That's why
Clone Wars.
I'm thinking of like, what did Yoda do
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
the council?
Yeah,
You
or
know
maybe,
what I'm
you know what,
saying?
you're right. Maybe even Phantom because Obi-Wan
Yeah.
would be about 20 something then.
around that time.
Then he's 70 during this, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's easy to imagine that they all got forgotten because even at the time of A New Hope, like even Luke's like, oh, the Jedi? Like I heard tales about him.
Mhm.
He's like, of course, he's me. Like
Yeah.
that
I
whole
mean,
thing, like-
that's kind of like a cool poetic thing that I don't think was probably the idea, but it's kind of like how tragedies happen in the real world history. It's like they kind of repeat after a certain amount of time that they
Yeah.
get forgotten. So it's like,
It's crazy that only from, Clone Wars or even Revenge of the Sith to New Hope,
Mhm.
it's eradicated.
Yeah.
The Empire destroys any remembrance or records of the Jedi to the point where Luke is like, yeah, I heard about him. I don't even know about him
Mhm.
really. There's like 3 left.
read your books,
So,
kids.
anyway,
the
favorite
Holocaust,
characters.
The Holocaust happened.
I've got podcasting and Manus there. Very fast.
So
very
favorite
dangerous.
character for this episode for me is I don't know his name, but it's Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers.
Grief.
Disgraced
Karga.
magistrate.
Man,
Karga.
look it up.
Yeah.
Ali, favorite character?
Mine is Moff Gideon
Mm.
in this episode. I just loved his delivery, his lines, and he pieced everything together through that as well, and it was just so well delivered and so well done that he took the cake for me. And of course, he has it's hard for a character that's holding a dark blade to not be
Right.
close to a favorite character.
Yeah.
in some ways. So
That shot of him standing on the TIE fighter at the end, you're like,
pretty freaking dope.
Yeah.
I want that exact thing as a statuette.
that'd be dope. Oh my God.
Make
I
it
don't know
happen.
how you make a dark saber though.
Figure it out.
Figure it
Black
out. Disney, that Disney money.
Light.
That $200 for fucking lightsaber
For me, it's the armor
armor.
for sure. Yeah. Just her way of being like, this is the way.
That was my
I
favorite
need to
scene. I
stay
think.
and break all this metal down so no one can get it.
Yeah.
No one can grab it because it's precious to us.
Mhm.
And just her being like, this is the way. Like
is the way.
you need to watch that baby and return it. But well, why? This is the way. Like
Mhm.
I know my everything's fucking gone, but
You know,
I'm
I could
sticking to it.
Totally imagine season 2 that she like they fucking mid-series comes in, like they have to fight the new whatever evil, goes visits her. She's now melted all the armor and now has made several different armors that just hang around like a little Tony Stark-esque looking
Little
thing.
Batman,
yeah.
And
Batcave
she
kind of.
says-
She's the new Alfred.
Well, she says like, "This is my clan,"
yeah,
and it's like her clan or her armor. So
yeah. So
like
I
it.
I hope that's not the end of her because
No. I imagine it is not.
I watched that scene 4 times. just that scene. I watched the episode once or twice, and that scene 4 times because I was just so blown away. Yeah. Qualms?
Qualms. Cinematically, Darksaber doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. It
do you
only
mean?
means something because we actually know inferred knowledge.
Oh,
And so
sure.
there is this two worlds that I like to walk in between of is there required reading before the film before what we watch or
So,
not?
in a sense, yes and no, but a lot of people do know what lightsabers mean.
So it's a
Yeah, I think
lightsaber and there's a black one. That's what they would say. This is
Yeah.
a black lightsaber.
That's still
Black
enticing.
lightsaber,
It doesn't
yeah.
necessarily, you don't need to know the entirety behind
Well,
it. It's a
because
little,
we've gone through a whole like series without anything close to a lightsaber, and then well,
it's
except for the
it's
fire
some
blades.
sugar on
but,
top.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's to me, I think it's so
But I don't think it's
so
necessarily
cool
a
for someone that
detriment.
actually knows what it is.
Sure.
And like for me that knows what it is. Like the last time I saw it, it didn't belong to him. It belonged to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that person, so I'm like, okay, cool. And so like how did the baton get passed? And because what I know is that that's the only one in existence. And
Yeah.
so
Oh,
like
interesting. Okay.
that's a really important thing. And then he's like, oh, he was just some fucking data entry guy back when I was a Mandalore. Now, how the fuck did he get it? Right. And so it's kind of like,
I think that's the sort of
And s-
seed, right?
right. And so that's kind of the thing where it's like he was some data entry guy who just looked your Ellis Island ledger when you
So it wasn't data
arrived.
entry. He was security. So like, do you guys remember?
What is he?
Moff
Moff Gideon's old job.
Rogue One.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was the same exact role as the guy in the white.
Oh, okay.
Same.
Well, yeah, he's the same rank as that,
Yeah.
a Moff or whatever.
But on
that his job was the exact same. So it's like a security, like a galactic
his
security.
job was to get choked out by Vader and walk away.
was to enforce law and
Enforce
know
the
who people were.
law of the land. Got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to me, it's kind of like it's a cool reveal, and I'm kind of like, I don't know. For me, there's a big part that I feel like sometimes the show did its thing versus like I think you kind of should have leaned so much more into the Mandalorian stuff, so that would have been really big.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
like I'm just going to talk about it. Darksaber. He's
Yeah.
technically the leader of all Mandalorians. Like that's what the Darksaber means.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so
does
it's-
it?
Yeah.
Oh,
And so I'm like, that's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like saying
But
like,
maybe
it's like
they
taking
wanna
off his
tell that-
mask. It's like, I'm a Yoda race too. It's like,
But they
that-
may want to just talk about that in season 2.
Hopefully they do. But the thing is, this show has so far not done any of that. Where it's like, hopefully, and they don't. And you're like, well, shit. Like they don't talk about what a sigil means at all. They don't talk about like
Mhm.
what's the importance of anything. And so it's like hard to see where it's like, other than it just being like, that's a Captain America shield in the background. It'll make sense when Kevin Feige says, yes, we have a cinematic universe.
It's going to be the same argument for every Marvel show then.
Well, to me, like,
Because none of that's going to make sense.
there's a point
without-
of like Easter egg to be like shown versus just an Easter egg that just dies in the background.
Yeah.
And like, I don't like it when
No,
it's
no,
like,
I
guess-
just mean, there's going to be a lot of stuff in the Marvel shows that are continually linked to the
Well-
rest, and it's not going to be able to stand on its own 2 feet. I think this is where you and I have disagreed since the very beginning, is that I don't see anything wrong with it. Since it is a Star Wars show, why can't it borrow stuff from its IP?
I think that's fine, but like make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like make it do something. Like I think the big I guess controversial episode between you and I was like episode 6 with Bill Burr
Yeah.
and the horn dude. And I was like, he's flame retardant. Show me that. And so like this, it's like, okay, you showed this big thing at the end. So like, please God, show me what the like
Sure.
importance of what this
Yeah.
is.
it's interesting because I'm coming in from a position where I don't know anything about Darkblade, and to me it was just kind of like
But how'd you know it was called the Dark Blade?
because on Twitter or something. Like I just saw it on. I saw that it was called Darkblade on Twitter before I'd seen the episode, so I saw that word and then I like closed the app real quick, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
I mean, at some level, that's actually more information than most people would have gotten.
Well, even that, I'm just calling it Darkblade for the sake of like
It's a blade,
continuing
it's
our
dark.
conversation. But like that item, when I saw it, I was like, to me, it took
Someone
him
who doesn't know what it was.
right.
Yeah.
It took the Moff to like a slightly higher level. Like, oh, you're kind of like trained in some kind of like Grievous trained in your Jedi art. I didn't think all the way,
Arts, yeah.
but like something in that degree where you're not just like a military person. You're like maybe one step above, where you potentially have this really now I know you have some interesting backstory that would lead you to having that. And on top of that, it's not a lightsaber that I've ever seen. So now I'm curious to see what that is and why it's like, you know, evil's red. Then what's black if evil's red?
Yeah.
You know, like that's kind of where I'm coming from, where that item has no weight or baggage for me.
A little,
So it's kind of like, well, what's the tease? You
to
know?
me, also a little bit is like, why didn't he use it earlier?
Well, he didn't need to.
Apparently, he needed to use it just to cut
He had a
himself.
TIE fighter
like
before.
He just used a can opener just to open some stuff, like to open up his cockpit. But it's like you could.
What else would he have
Well, he had a
used it
TIE
for?
fighter.
To be part of the fight that they were like gonna lose until like bring out the fireboy.
Oh. Well, the way he was standing, just doing nothing during that scene, kind of, I think he knew that they had no chance of escaping the situation. So I think that like he, as a character, is very sharp and very. I feel like he's very aware of like every situation.
To me, there's like a
tactician.
There's a
Yeah.
fun thing where it's like the bad guys must lose, right? And that's like a rule, right?
Yeah.
The bad guys always lose, and like that's okay. And whether it's by hubris or not, but it's kind of like the other things I've seen stuff like that where it's like
In a way, you could
show
say
you
he
the full they show you the full shaft. Of
You
like,
could say he did
okay.
die by hubris because he took a TIE fighter to take out like 3 guys.
Mhm.
When typically you would use TIE fighter for another short range fighter.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Versus like he could have gotten on a speeder with his dark blade, but he was like, no, like I'm gonna be,
He's even laughing to
egotistical
himself, yeah.
and kind of, fuck himself in the end. And that's why it's kind of even funnier when it kind of gets blown out of the sky. So yeah, it's interesting that it doesn't have the same.
I ended the episode like, now you fucking show me this.
Yeah.
I was like, so like, it's so cool, but I'm like, well, shit.
Well, I just wish we had more like that. That would be, I guess, one of my qualms, that we didn't get enough of Moff Gideon through the series. If he was sort of pulling the strings all along, kind of thing. But I guess in that TV show way, then it's sort of like that's kind of what you get sometimes, is because they need to have you focus on one big bad before you focus on the next big bad.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like something as like
Unless-
like I would call it like an artifact, right? It's like something
Yeah.
really important to the story. Like, and like I joked about it, I'm like, why the fuck doesn't Mando have a jetpack? And then he gets his jetpack,
gets
and
it.
it's like
Yeah.
it feels really good when he gets his jetpack.
Mhm.
And this with the dark saber, I'm like, there's almost no weight for me with this. Like it's a sword, and I'm like, it's cool looking, but it's like that's all it has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was meant to
and no, 'cause
necessarily.
it's also Star Wars, so a glowing sword means a lot more than just a sword.
I took it as a like end credit tease kind
That
of thing.
people who are listening, I went
Mhm.
when
Yeah,
Corey
Oh,
said that because I just did a nonverbal. I was like, yeah. So I don't know. That just kind of irritated me. What other qualms might I
Like they
have?
should have brought it out in the last episode,
Oh.
maybe at the very least.
Something
Or
like that,
to
yeah.
me, talked about it in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like talked about like we lost Mandalore, we lost the Dark Blade,
Right,
Dark
right.
Saber, or no, we lost our birthright.
Mm.
And that was like, what's the birthright? And then but like, what
Right.
is this thing? And then it's like, fuck, oh, he has it. Like
Right.
that means so much
Gotcha.
more. It's like, no, this doesn't mean
My-
anything.
I guess I have kind of a qualm.
Yeah.
Unless you guys want to go.
I have one more. I want to go one more because I go hard in the paint.
I was a little disappointed in the E-Web gun. Like I was hoping, because of the way maybe it was just the way it was talked up. Like it just ended up being
Well, it's also
another
performance.
Gatling. Well, yeah, but it ended up just being like another Gatling gun. But it also felt like a weaker version of the thing in the first episode. That he like mounts and like takes out that entire complex.
Yeah, I mean, so the E-Web is a
But that was
is a kind of like
I was expecting
directional.
something
Like you kind of pointed at what the area.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
uh-huh.
It's not meant to be like a tactile. Like that thing is meant to be like jump on it and let's move around with this. The E-Web is just more of a let's point it at a bunker
Mhm.
and fucking destroy that bunker.
Yeah, but it didn't do that.
I mean,
Or did it not get fired?
it didn't get
It-
fired
no, he-
until
no,
he
he got
picked it
fired
up.
until he picked it up.
Yeah.
Well,
He
I
didn't
was
get
Well,
fired
right.
at the bunker.
Right, yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say like to compare it like Last Jedi, their weapon was way more menacing.
Well, even Mandalorian's own disintegrator thing. Like I thought it was going to be the way he described like
Oh.
them being disintegrated as they try to do their drop trooper thing.
Mhm.
I thought like they get vaporized out of the air as
Yeah.
opposed to like, but it's
a gun.
a blasters. You know, at the
Everyone
end of
just
the
do team shooting.
day. But it was just a little
Just
like
team shot it.
Gotcha.
Because I was like, what is this thing going to do? And then I was like, oh,
It's the same thing.
but that was just my own like.
But also, I would
building it
say
up.
like it'd be cool if it was a different color.
yeah, or different
Even
color,
then, where it's
something
like,
different.
Or like to me, I'm trying to.
But
Connect
it's already a cannon. Like no, I don't mean cannon like a weapon cannon. It's already canon, as in
What
that-
it does.
As what it does.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So they
so
can't
that's totally
change
fine.
that.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of
Well,
just
they
like
could have. Well,
just in
They
terms
could
of
have introduced
he's
it
like
as a different
he
weapon.
called it as
Yeah.
a predecessor, so he could have
Been
done
a
something
new
with
one.
that. But.
I have fucking flashback is what like don't show me the shit I've already seen. Show me the part where he's already in the fucking at the bottom.
Fast forward a bit more of that.
Because I was
stuff.
like, I've seen all of this, and then I'm like, and then fucking it's gonna open, and then I see the droid. Now what's going to happen? And then like, cool.
That's your problem
That's
with
the
flashbacks,
point.
though. I mean, that's what you
Like
get.
they sprinkled that flashback multiple times, and
Yeah.
it's like different parts of it's like.
Well, it's like now
Is
let's
this a
give him the
serial? Or is this
full-
not a
thing.
serial? Is
Yeah.
this a serial? Or not a serial?
Let's give him the full story.
Is this
now,
the first
kinda
episode or not the first episode?
unedited? I think it was supposed to drive home that this is like now you're getting it.
Now you can
Now
see the whole
you
thing
get the
together
flashback,
instead of
the full thing. I think that's
pieces.
what. But yeah, to your point, you get a lot of redundancy. I mean, and that's sort of like a common theme of this show, where it's like some of it is padded with like without the need to be.
Well, I'll say
padded.
this: I love watching shows that have last time, and they show me a fucking preview
Mhm.
because I love seeing that shit. Because I'm like, cool, those are the things that they felt is most important for this episode. So why the fuck do I have to see it again? You know what I mean? Like they do it already baked in. So
Yeah.
why am I seeing a full version of the flashback versus just let's just drop the kid off? We'll be there. And then the droid comes out. It's like, cool. This is the part where I'm like gonna see the fuck. How does he get out? But how does he get out?
I wonder if Taika shot it,
It doesn't
Like,
matter.
shot it,
Whoever
and then it
edited
was-
it is the issue.
but then it was like borrowed for the flashbacks in
I
the
would say,
earlier
you know,
episodes.
show
Then
the
he
whole
wanted to
thing.
show. Well, I think I'm wondering if Taika like
meant
shot
for
it
this episode
and was
they
like, "This
put
is
it
for
in.
me," and then they wanted to sprinkle it or whatever. But he's like, "Well, that doesn't mean that it's not what I intended it,
Mhm.
which is for this episode kind of thing." That's
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. There's just like to me, there's a better way to do it, and
Oh,
it's
sure.
like you sprinkle it throughout, and then you can rehash certain parts when he's talking to someone else. It's like, cool, that's what he's talking about. And then at the very end, like, or show this right here, or show just like
they could have
less of it.
montaged up to. They could have
Show less
montaged
of
it
it
up
throughout
to
the series, and
up
then
to
show
them saying goodbye to the kid.
show less of it throughout the series, and just show it right here when he's actually having to explain
Well,
to all his friends.
they only do it like twice though. Like it's both times he's getting new armor is when they do it,
Mhm.
and it's in like episode 1 and whenever he get
Three.
Beskar 3, 1 and 3.
I feel like he did it. They did it as well, like when he was explaining something. I feel like to me, I just felt like
Maybe.
this was
You
so
might
long,
be right.
and I've seen the same footage. And like this is a weekly show, so it's not like I'm binging it, so I feel redundant. It's like it feels like redundant at a weekly show.
Hmm.
And like to me, like a weekly show, you're supposed to build anticipation, which it did. But then like showing the same footage over and over again, I'm like, like get me to the point, baby. Because I would have wanted to see more of the rescue part. Because I'm like, thank God I'm seeing new footage.
Got it.
You know.
But yeah, it was. I just love the music through that sequence, and it was just shot really well.
Yeah, exactly.
see that,
I
yeah.
liked it, but I was like, I just felt like I was deserved of it before this
Mhm.
point. Because I thought I would have saw who Moff was. Because the way that they were talking, like, oh, I know who he is. He's
I
right.
see.
He is. It's like his name's Moff Gideon. Blah blah blah. And then they showed this flashback. Like, are we gonna see Moff
And
Gideon
he's
now?
not in there.
And he's not in there. And like, okay, this is another part. Which like maybe before, please.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were talking about the Mandalorians and the Creed at
Culture.
that point. So
Yeah.
it
Well, there was a lot of exposition at the very beginning of the show,
Mhm.
or this
Episode.
episode, where it was just like, oh, I guess this is it.
yeah.
Again, 1, 2, 3, and this 7 and 8.
Yeah.
I liked and disliked the unmasking.
Why?
I liked it because it's like, cool, we've been waiting for it, but I kind of had that moment. You're one of your favorite moments, Corey. Oh no, I don't know if it's your favorite moment. There's a moment in Justice League Animated where
Mhm.
Lex Luthor and the Flash switch bodies.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite moments.
And Lex Luthor finally goes to the bathroom and he's like, I know I'm going to find out who the Flash is. Takes off his mask. He's like,
I have
who
no
is
idea
this?
who this is. I have no idea who
I
this
have no
is.
idea who this is. So like it to me, they were like, oh my God, we're going to see this. We're going to see him. We're going to see him. We're going to see him. And then it
Like-
kind of just
it's
felt
like a dude?
so
Normal dude.
so anticlimactic when they did it.
Oh, not for me.
I felt like
For me, I was in it. I was like,
Well, I mean, I think
I was
I
just
wonder
like,
if people have been
it's
wondering.
a guy. Cool.
I mean, but what did you expect?
Well, like, of course it's a guy, but it's like, you know, like they're I don't know,
The
there's
child race.
There's something by the way that
Just
the,
a fucking cock.
the way
like, oh,
it,
whoa.
the way it was framed in such a way that like it just didn't feel like it mattered. It was like, cool, I take off my mask, I'm gonna spray this thing, and you're healed. Now put the helmet on. It's like, and then all of a sudden,
Oh,
they
it was
look-
Bantha, which was really cool, which is the tank that it's like a miniaturized version of the tank Luke was in.
oh,
When he's
the
in that
Empire.
healing tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then right after, here comes Gareth and Cara Dune. Look back. Oh my God, you made it! What the fuck? I mean, yeah, I guess either he wasn't or not, but they looked like way more happy than it should have been for like leave me here.
Well, no, I
This
mean,
is the
you
way.
assume that the droid was going to stay there by his side until he died.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have a final hurrah, and then they look back, but it happens so quickly because there's a first shot you see of them in the tunnels, and they just turn back. It's
Yeah.
not even like they're down there. They see the flames take over. They're like, oh no, and they keep
Oh,
going.
there's no like build up to the
and then
reveal
also
that he's alive.
like spray helmet spray. Next shot, sewer. They look back. You're alive. It's like
They reacted
we
like
saw that.
they reacted like he had forgotten his wallet and he just had to go back and get it.
Yeah, a little
Kinda
bit.
like,
a little
okay, let's
bit.
go. No.
And so I'm like not trying to be so hard about it, but I was like, what? There was almost
what you
no
mean.
moment separation between the two.
Yeah.
There was more moments for us as the audience, because there's
Yeah.
no moment in their time space that they should have felt that way.
Mhm.
That moment, and I guess I talked a little bit about the IG-11, where it's like I really wanted more of this exploration of like the
That's my qualm.
android.
As I wanted him to last longer, but from the Taika being cast, I understand practicality.
Mhm.
They can't keep him, so they have to kind of wrap his storyline up now.
And in many ways, I mean, like, you know,
I like how they wrapped it up.
it would have been, you know, it's special in this way. Kind of like we got some awesome scenes with him, and
Yeah,
he's
I
immortalized
did get
in a
him more
way.
than I thought I was going to.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy about.
I would say the cool thing about the non-movie, non-Skywalker saga stuff, so Clone
Mhm.
Wars, Rebels, Rogue One, you see a lot more love given to droids.
Yeah.
I wish this show, hopefully maybe it has it again, but it's kind of like the first love has been burned already, so it's like I don't know how you're going to try to, you know.
You want more?
On top
We
of
need
it.
more droids.
Well, like even some episodes of Rebels, they do episodes where it's like there's learned, there's love, and then there's like the flip of the expectation, and then there's the sacrifice,
Mhm.
and it's like done really well. It's like, why do I give a shit about a droid? But also like I give a shit about a droid.
It's interesting because I was thinking about that, but I wonder if it would take away from the whole lone gunman Western feel if you all of a sudden have a third, you know,
Yeah, it
part
would.
of the crew.
that's why the two of them
But
are
I would
staying.
like to. But I would like to have a droid.
I mean, that's why I
on
talked
board.
about like how I'm so critical of the show. It's like everything that you probably would want would just rob you of what the show is trying to be.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, why would you care about characters when the show doesn't want you to care about characters? And it's like, because it's the lone gunman Western, it has to be. It's like, oh, I can't even care about that guy then. So
It's a life of acquaintances. Is
Yeah.
the bounty hunter life. So I mean, that's what it's I think
Gun on the
putting
run.
forward. Yeah.
So I mean, other than that, qualms. Not too so much a qualm. No, stormtroopers aren't just people, Corey. They're assholes, and people aren't just assholes because you don't see so many people out there just punching babies for no goddamn reason. Fuck you, Jason Sudeikis. No, but also I did like how Second City came out,
Yeah,
and they said like, oh, we do not approve of the actions
punching babies.
of alumnus.
That scene was so great.
I thought that was good, but I was like, God damn, like these are the like most rude, terrible stormtroopers I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's
don't
why
know.
they get the shit beaten out of them.
Yeah,
Well, they also have
But
to
that's
sit.
so rewarding.
to come up and
They also
Yeah.
have to sit in the middle of a, I'm sure, hot desert, sitting there in their armor,
Oh,
So they're probably not-
sorry.
in their happiest of moods.
Well, sorry that you fucking just
Wait, is this a qualm or is
No,
this
it's not.
a? I was like,
No, it's
I don't
not.
what's
know.
happening right
Well,
now?
again, qualms
Nothing.
and discussion points. It doesn't have to be just shitting on a thing.
Yeah, I'm
but
thinking
no.
of like the mood of the stormtroopers.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
also it's if it's a qualm, fuck shitty ass people. You know
Also,
what I'm
the
saying?
Yeah.
marksman thing, I took away. Not this isn't a qualm, just a callback to earlier. But I took away that their guns are just shitty.
Probably both.
Did you like how it rattled?
Yeah, it like rattled because I was like, well, both of them
This is what a shitty gamer would say.
look like they were. Maybe that's it. They were just like, yeah, a sore loser blaming his
His
blaster.
gun instead of like,
Yeah.
no, you got to learn how to play
Column
with
A,
the broken
column
control.
B, man. You got to learn how to use your gun. It's
But that
yours.
was funny. I was like, if that's the case, then that's the easiest explanation for like all stormtroopers having crappy aim.
I would say this: when the Republic used clones, they won the war.
Yeah.
There you go.
When the Empire and other people use non-clones, they don't win wars.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's not the gun.
Yeah.
There you go.
And apparently, if you're a good guy, you use the gun. You have aimbot, so it's not the gun.
Yeah.
Sore losers. Other qualms? No, nothing else. I would say like those are like just big highlights for me, and the point of other things are just like kind of baked into the DNA of the show.
Mhm.
But it's just because the show is not what I want it to be, but instead it is what it is, and I have to kind of like adjust my watching experience every time I watch it. But those are some things where I'm like, that doesn't matter.
Mhm.
That doesn't matter either. So I'm not going to pretend it matters. But then people are like, it matters. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The only reason it matters is because you have like pre-read knowledge before the thing is.
But it can matter in its own like bubble,
it could look cool.
and like it's fun
It could
to,
be
to
cool. It could
watch
look
or
cool.
whatever.
It could sound
And
cool.
it can matter, Tom.
Yeah,
But I was like, some of
Matter-
these things don't matter.
there's matter.
To you, they don't.
Yeah, in
you-
different ways.
Well,
They- yeah.
to me, like
Some things are in
and
there
the, and
for
the ways
Star
that
Wars
you want
fans
them to matter,
specifically.
but they matter for other people in other ways.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, there's like the reason why we keep seeing Batman's parents die is because they want to show why this matters.
Sure.
Like, if they don't show Ben Parker dying, it's because that doesn't
But
matter.
what about when they showed Robin's armor?
Yeah, it fucking matters.
It doesn't.
It
They
doesn't.
never show it.
They do show Robin's armor.
They
In
don't
Batman
show him
vs. Superman?
dying.
But they don't.
But why
do
does that
anything with
armor
it.
matter?
Oh, because-
that's what I'm saying. The same argument.
Well, they're gonna have to show what happens afterwards, and that was the plan. And to me, that's the thing where it's like,
But
at
maybe
least
that's
there's a
the
plan.
plan with the Darksaber.
Well, then tell me what a sigil means.
Yeah, maybe they
Maybe we'll
will,
find out.
Tom.
Maybe they
I'm
won't.
just saying. There's a
They
lot of
did 6 episodes to tell me what it
There's
meant,
a lot
and it
of.
didn't.
I think there's a lot of. Well, I mean, again, like it subverts what we expect to see out of a traditional show.
Yeah,
And I
show me a
think-
gun. I expect to be fired.
Well, and I think to your point, I think it's that simple. Like it's like a lot of times when we do theory crafting, especially this year with the end of 2 sagas, there's been
Not 2 sagas.
This is-
7 sagas.
or this what?
Endgame, Star Wars, Game of Thrones,
Okay, yeah.
Kingdom Hearts.
Okay, got
Everything
it.
has ended this year.
Yeah. So, I mean, with all that,
Yeah.
we've all done a ton of theory crafting. And a lot of times we just come down to the conclusion of we're giving writers way too much credit.
Mhm.
Like sometimes it's just as simple as like they see the Darkblade, so Darkblade is going to be the topic of an episode. Like, I think it's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, also I don't know. I have given so many things so much grace of like, some things are cool, and then you put it in there, and like it's a piece. But it's like when they say like, oh, we're trying to look for someone like this kid in Queens and Stephen Strange. Like, I know what that fucking means. People who don't know don't know
Yeah.
comic books don't know what that means. But I know 2 more movies later, they're going to show me what that is.
Yeah.
But this 6 episodes later, they're not going to tell me what that means. And that's my big frustration. It's like you've introduced so many things, but you're not trying to explain it.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing. Like, and I harp on like sometimes you do have to like do reading and stuff like that, but like this show is like trying to put so much emphasis on things that like you do.
You're worried about the balance of like a fan service versus actually needing it for the plot or for the characters or the story. to move
Fan
forward.
service, I say there's a tough thing where it's like you are rewarding people for out of film narrative or out of like the screen narrative stuff that like they just want that never been like even told about. But
Mhm.
then like this is kind of like you're showing things, but you're just saying like to me it's like here's a ribbon. It's a ribbon. Like it's like, oh, but your sigil. It's like it matters. Why does it matter?
Well,
Like
it's like them showing Thor's hammer at the end of
I mean,
Iron Man
there's
or
the
whatever.
between
it was,
the line
or Captain
context
America.
clues of every other true Mandalorian who has their jetpack, who has everything else, has a sigil on their arm. So the context there is that it's the last kind of piece of the puzzle. And the way they explain it is that it's the moment that not only did he
graduation
save the baby,
of sorts.
baby saved him.
but what other sigils have we seen?
On all the other Mandalorians in the Enclave?
Yeah.
On the heavies and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
I'm
What-
telling you.
What are
Yeah.
what are those? What do they look like?
No,
Whatever
it's
their
not,
sigil is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, so that's the thing where it's like you just see it, but it's like
Yeah.
if someone that doesn't have it, what does that mean? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a lot of that though. There's a lot of
that's-
like, what does it actually mean versus like, I think we're supposed to infer it through the context of how it's being like presented. And I
Like,
don't
yeah.
think it's, I don't like that. That's what I mean by us giving writers too much
It's not a
credit.
spoon-fed.
Yeah, it's not
thing.
spoon fed,
It's
but at
a-
the same time, it's not trying to trick you or anything. Like it almost is exactly what you
Just
think
kind
it
of
is.
face value. It's just
Yeah.
your last piece of becoming a Mandalorian warrior.
So like,
It's
and
your-
all it
it's
is
your-
they set it up to define like you'll earn it one day.
whatever
So
feat
it's
you've
some
completed,
milestone.
your large feat
Yeah.
to earn your.
I remember saying,
But I agree that I want
saying like,
more.
oh, you'll earn one, but it's like,
Yeah.
what does that mean? when
I do
earn
want
one?
to. I would love like one of these. We talk about like these like filler kind of episodes. Like I would love a filler episode, so to speak, of like let's go down the path of somebody else's signet and see what that means for them and how they got it, and to maybe understand that a bit more. So I agree in that respect. But yeah, I didn't think that it was necessarily like missing information.
Well, like it's kind of like I wouldn't even call that a filler episode. That's like a more important episode than like a episode
No,
like
he's talking about our
the-
episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, but like having that where like if another Mandalorian could talk about their experience, then we can get the like reverence of like what Jin doesn't have.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
That's what, yeah. So I agree in that sense that like it would be for everything that is presented. It would be nice for them to understand that they have a lot of time to spend, so they should be filling it with like things that to help us understand the world more and to
yeah, and I mean like the thing is like those things wouldn't bother me if I just knew more about anyone else other than like 5 or so characters that didn't matter.
Mhm.
Like I know now I have like 2 other episodes that like those characters didn't matter, but now I have this like climactic ending where it's like, all these things happen. It's like, well, there's not been a lot of weight towards them either. Like I didn't feel like he wanted to earn his sigil. I didn't feel like he wanted to earn his jetpack. He just got it.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, well, this is the foundling that actually did save me. Oh, that makes sense. Now you get your sigil. It's like, I mean, I don't think he was trying to get it. He wasn't trying to go for straight A's. He was just
No.
trying to survive.
I mean,
By
that's
proxy,
like,
they just like, here you go.
yeah. Well, it's like getting a promotion. It's like you get it when you earn it, and you earn it not always consciously. Like
Mhm.
you don't always go for it.
I mean, is a sigil a promotion?
You could think of it that way, like promotion or like
Or are we
like a
putting that on
certificate.
that?
It's a certification kind of thing. Is how I kind of took it. It's like you are now like fully fledged kind of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
As far as anybody is concerned.
So he shouldn't have been called Mando to begin with.
No, not necessarily.
Right.
It's the difference between like
Like a Boba Fett.
It's a
Jabba
Padawan
Jango
versus a
Fett.
knight.
Jabba Fett.
It's like
Jesus
it's
Christ.
Padawan versus a
Padawan
knight. They're
tonight.
still Jedi.
They're still Jedi. It's Padawan tonight.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I get that, but it's like that's all we're reading between the lines.
Right. Which is what this.
Which
I
is
think this
all-
is one of
yeah.
those things that's what the show is.
Yeah.
It's not a here's all the information
You
you
get
need.
context clues, and that's the best you can hope for.
I guess it's weird because like I get reading between the lines between character relationships, but
Mhm.
not between people and objects.
And world
World
building.
ish. I mean, like
Yeah,
knowing
like the culture of Mandalorian.
well, it's
Yeah.
like this currency isn't used anymore. That's a reading between the lines because the Imperial doesn't work anymore.
Mhm.
But like this is an e-web and this does this to people. Like that's just putting it out on Front Street.
Mhm.
It's like your signet is important and you'll earn it later.
Mhm.
Why is it important?
Maybe we don't need to know yet.
And so I'm
And
saying
maybe
like,
that's all they're afforded with an 8-episode run kind of thing.
with $15
Like,
million.
well, we have
Yeah.
to. We have
For
this
me, it's
many
hard
pages.
to
we
knowing
have
the show
to-
isn't done yet. It's hard for me to find that stuff as qualms,
Mhm.
just because I know there's more story to have. I know there's an entire other season where we
But
can
yeah,
explore
so
these things.
they set up. You know, there's some seeds for season 2.
So I mean, they end off the season with like Din Djarin and the child have to go, and he has to find the
Or train
child's
him.
Yeah.
habitat.
Yeah.
I love Armor's statement of like, so I have to go do this, this, and this, and then she's like, that's up for you to decide or see.
This is the way.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, well, you're gonna figure out what
Until
you're
then,
gonna
he's
be
essentially
doing,
your son.
right?
I mean, so the cool thing I liked was that like my favorite character of the episode, Grief. I'm just calling him Grief.
Yeah.
He opens arms, gives like Mando a way to like, hey, come in. But then this is in character and plot. Like this is the point of no return.
Mhm.
He has made the decision to not be part of the bounty hunters anymore, at least at this point. So it's like, to me, this is the point where like you better show some drastic consequence
Or he's charged with consequence for what?
for not being part of the bounty hunter guild.
I don't think there is consequence.
I mean, the thing is like he was given open arm to like, hey, be part of it. You'll become an esteemed member of it. You'll get all of the things. So when you come back, you have all of the bounties up to your feet. And he says, no, I have to go it alone, do a different thing. So it's
Mhm.
like he has to see the consequence.
You might
He has to
get
see the consequence of
some-
not going with friends and to do this job.
Oh, I
with
see what
it.
you're saying. I
That
think
might
it meant consequence
manifest in
for
him
specifically
being-
not joining the guild. And I was like, I
No,
don't think there is
like
a
in terms of
consequence.
story and character, his lesson must be
Yes.
learned that like that was like a
Yeah.
tough thing to do, but this is the right way.
Yeah.
And so like you have to punish your characters. And so
Mhm.
like I better like to me, and that's the thing. I better fucking see it.
I think you
So
will.
it's like,
I think you will. Just because it is a topic, and I imagine some of those characters are going to return in season 2. So I imagine some of those interactions will hopefully pay some of that off.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hope, in Star Wars fashion, hopefully that town gets like, revived. And
Yeah.
I mean, he said that it's gone. All the scum
It's
and villainy
gone,
is
yeah.
gone.
but to me, in a better, more like better writing way, it'd be better if it got destroyed. And the fact that he left is the reason why it got destroyed. Because the Imperials were like, okay, that's how it's going to be.
I think there's enough story threads to not complicate it further.
Well, because like to me, it's like
By
that's
adding
what
one
happens
more
because you're
line.
not choosing to be a protector. You're not choosing to be with people. So the things you leave is destruction in your wake.
Mhm.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because Moff is still on that planet, baby.
Yeah.
Moff,
And,
Moff of motherfucker.
Moff
I
Gideon.
assume he'll be the big bad for at least the second season. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens there. But anyways, let us know what you, the audience, have been excited
people.
for. The people. Hit us up on the socials. You know what to do. Nerdon.tv.
Internet
gives
email
you all the
address.
clicky
Yeah.
clicks. We have Nerd On Nation. Join to get awesome perks and speak with like-minded individuals about this show or anything like gardening.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to talk more, check out join our Nerd Nation, be part of
Yeah.
our Discord, baby.
Also, what did you guys think of this show? We're
Yeah.
trying something new, a seasonal show. You know,
Yeah.
it goes along the episode by episode. It goes along the show episode by episode.
Would you like it? Would you like more
Would you like
of it?
more?
Do you like it, Sam? I am.
Do
What
you
would you
wa-
like it for?
Do you
what
want-
specifics?
Do you want miniseries with not the full amount of team for other shows?
Yeah. Let us know.
Hopefully not just like in the middle of a series like Stranger Things 4. I don't know.
New
So
series
this
coming up.
has been season 1 of Mandalori-On,
Yeah.
the Nerd
Thank
On
you
show.
for joining us for the ride.
We'll
have-
see you. We'll see you next year.
We'll have to check with Marvel if we get renewed for season 2. And,
And
more likely we will.
It did. Yeah, I got greenlit.
Oh, I know. I'm
No,
just
he's
joking.
saying
I'm
us.
Us. My
Sorry.
God.
Sorry. It's late. It's getting late. But anyways,
Sing us out, Ollie.
you know the drill. As always.
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.